In July 1941, a British engineer drew a simple sketch. On paper, it looked like a dream. A giant barrier across the Godavari River. So bold, it felt almost impossible. Decades passed. India fought for its freedom, rebuilt its nation, and watched that old sketch gather dust. But today, more than 80 years later, that vision has returned as steel, concrete, and power. A $6 billion mega-project now rises from the river, the Polavaram Dam, the largest of its kind in India. For farmers, for villages, for millions living downstream, this is not just engineering. This is about floods or survival, about droughts or harvests, about the fight between nature's fury and human will. But here's the question. Why would India spend billions to build one colossal wall of earth, rock, and steel? Picture a dam more than 2 kilometers long. Picture canals stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Picture turbines powerful enough to light entire cities. If you live in India or anywhere battling floods and droughts, this story touches you too. And in the next few minutes, you'll see the real reason behind India's $6 billion giant barrier. This is the untold story of the Polavaram project. In the heat of July 1941, under the rule of British India, an engineer named L.V. Krishnan Iyer made a daring proposal. He believed the mighty Godavari River, a river that gave life and also destroyed it, could be controlled. His vision was a dam, a massive structure that could tame the floods, store the waters, and bring hope to millions. But in those days, such an idea felt far too big, far too costly, and far too bold for a colonized land. Years passed. India won its freedom in 1947, yet the dream remained buried in files and speeches. It took almost 4 decades before the first stone was laid. In 1980, the foundation of the Polavaram project was finally placed in the soil. By then, an entire generation had lived and died under the shadow of floods and droughts. Still, the dream did not fade. It lingered, carried in the hopes of farmers, in the prayers of villagers, and in the promises of leaders. A vision that refused to die, even when time tried to bury it. But what makes this barrier unlike any other in India? Stretching across the mighty Godavari, the Polavaram Dam is not just a wall. It is a monument of superlatives. The main structure itself is a 2.31-kilometer earth and rock-filled dam. A barrier built not only with cement and steel, but with sheer ambition. Yet beneath this giant wall lies a secret, an underground shield that no eye can see. A diaphragm wall, stretching 1.396 kilometers long, sunk as deep as 120 meters into the earth. It is the first of its kind ever built in India. Think of it as a hidden backbone, holding the dam steady, preventing leaks, and sealing the river's restless force. Without it, the waters could escape through unseen cracks. With it, the structure stands firm like a fortress. Imagine an invisible wall underground, deeper than most skyscrapers are tall, silently guarding millions of lives. The sheer scale is staggering, an engineering puzzle solved by digging into the bones of the earth itself. This is not just a dam, it is a triumph of design and courage. But the question remains, what exactly will this $6 billion project deliver to the people of India? From the heart of the Polavaram Dam, 2 giant canals stretch out like arms of stone and water. To the left, a canal runs for 181 kilometers. To the right, another stretches for 74 kilometers. Together, they form a vast lifeline, designed to carry the river's strength deep into the soil of Andhra Pradesh. Through these canals, nearly 2.9 lakh hectares, that's almost 720,000 acres, of farmland will be irrigated. For farmers, this is not just a number. It means fields that once cracked under the sun will now stay green through the seasons. It means harvests no longer ruined by drought, but secured by steady water. A promise that generations of farmers prayed for is finally taking shape in concrete and canals. But there is more. These waterways are not only for crops, they can also carry boats, turning irrigation canals into silent highways of trade and travel. What was once a dream of survival could also become a road to prosperity. Yet the story does not stop here, because the question remains, can this barrier also give India the gift of energy security? At the base of the Polavaram Dam, the river does more than hold back its waters. It is transformed into pure power. A massive hydroelectric station with a capacity of 960 megawatts is being built right into the heart of the structure. Inside, 12 giant Kaplan turbines wait to turn. Each one can generate 80 megawatts of clean energy. Together, they will feed electricity into the veins of a growing nation. Enough power to light up millions of homes, run industries, and fuel the future. For India, a country still burning vast amounts of coal, this is more than just numbers. It is a step toward freedom from smoke-filled skies. A chance to replace black soot with clear air. A promise of renewable energy, born not from imported oil or polluting fuels, but from the eternal force of water itself. Yet as the turbines hum with progress, another sound echoes in the background. The voices of those who live where the waters will rise. Because every wall of stone comes with a cost. And the question becomes, what about the people who stand in its path? Behind every mega project, there are numbers that are not written in steel or concrete, but in lives. The Polavaram Dam will submerge nearly 276 villages. Over 4,457 families will be forced to leave their homes. Entire communities, men, women, and children, must pack up their lives, leaving behind fields, schools, and memories built over generations. The waters will not only swallow villages, they will also touch the edges of Papakonda National Park, a sanctuary of forests and wildlife. In the name of progress, both people and nature are asked to make way. For some, this sacrifice feels like a wound. For others, it is seen as a price worth paying for the future. It is the story of development, where gain comes only with loss. Imagine a farmer watching his ancestral land disappear under rising waters. Imagine a child moving to a resettlement colony, far from the village that once defined home. These are not just statistics. They are voices, dreams, and identities being displaced. The project offers hope, but it also demands sacrifice. And that leads to the next question. When so much is at stake, do all states agree on this project? Before we reveal the secret reason India is willing to pour $6 billion into this barrier, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because this story is about far more than one dam. The Godavari River does not belong to one state alone. Its waters cross boundaries, feeding lands and lives across Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh. And that is where the storm begins. Both Odisha and Chhattisgarh raised strong objections. They argued the Polavaram Dam would submerge their villages, flood their forests, and reduce the share of water that rightfully belonged to them. Courtrooms filled with petitions. For years, the project drowned in litigation instead of water. Each hearing delayed the dream, turning hope into frustration. It became clear this was not just an engineering challenge. It was a political battlefield where one river had many claimants. Imagine trying to divide a single loaf of bread among 3 hungry families. No one feels satisfied, and conflict only deepens. Yet through every delay, one thing kept the project alive: central government funding. Despite protests, despite lawsuits, New Delhi pushed the project forward, calling it a national project, too important to fail. The battles raged, but the dam kept rising, which leaves us with the question, why press forward despite so many disputes, sacrifices, and storms? The Godavari River is both a blessing and a curse. One year, its waters rise like a monster, flooding entire villages, sweeping away crops and homes. The next year, it shrinks to a trickle, leaving dry fields and thirsty people behind. This cycle of floods and droughts has haunted generations, but the Polavaram Dam promises a shield against this chaos. Its reservoir can hold an astonishing 7.4 billion cubic meters of water, enough to swallow the surging river during flood season, and enough to release it gently when the land cries for rain. With this balance, more than 540 villages downstream gain protection from devastating floods. Imagine the difference. One year's terror turned into year-round stability. Fields safe, homes safe, lives no longer shattered by the fury of a changing river. In an era of climate extremes, this is not just a dam. It is a shield, standing between people and the unpredictable wrath of nature. It is a weapon of survival in a world where the skies grow hotter and storms grow stronger. But here lies the mystery. What is the real secret behind this $6 billion gamble? The Polavaram project is not just a dam. It is a triple answer to India's most urgent needs. First, irrigation, turning barren fields into fertile lands. Second, drinking water, supplying nearly 28 trillion cubic meters to towns and villages. Third, flood control and hydropower, taming the river while producing clean energy. all of this in one project with operations targeted between 2027 and 2029. For a nation balancing growth and survival, this is not just concrete and turbines. It is a lifeline. The stakes are higher than cost. They are survival. So what does this mean for India's future? The Polavaram Dam is not just a wall of stone. It is India's $6 billion shield for water, energy, and food security. From flood relief to clean power, it stands as a national lifeline. After 80 years, the giant barrier finally rises. From 1941 to 2029, the dream becomes reality. But the question remains, will Polavaram be India's greatest protector or its most debated gamble? The Godavari has always been India's lifeline, now reshaped into a barrier of hope. Irrigation, power, and resilience define the true purpose behind this $6 billion investment. Subscribe for more deep dives into the megastructures shaping our world. Do you think giant dams solve climate change or create new problems? Comment below.